1998, a year that would change moments for the event's history. Mainly two. The ever-famous giant balloons had brand new rules after the accidents that occurred the previous year due to extreme high winds. These new rules would change the balloons forever, as these new rules are size limits, the expansion of number of balloon handlers and pilots, utility vehicles to help control them, and the NYPD has the power to ground the balloons. The second is for the telecast on NBC, when a new host joined Katie Couric and Al Roker to host the event, and would do it for 20 years until his firing after the 2017 parade, because of him being a sexual harasser. His name was Matt Lauer. But this video is not talking about that creep. We're here to talk about the songs for this year's Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And like last year, we have a total of 21 songs. I'm not going to go much into detail here because I covered most of it in the first episode, but you can find my rules for this series in the description below, as well as the 21 songs in parade order. So grab your umbrellas, make sure you hold tight to fight the winds. Hopefully you got to see Garfield, Wild Thing, Spider-Man, and Quick Bunny before their accidents, and get to see a young Justin Timberlake. This is my ranking on the songs from the 1998 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Number 21, Wake Up by Rockapella. Let me just say that this is not the Folgers song Waking Up, which is odd that the float they would be in for this year in 99. Many of you know this group from the PBS Kids show, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? So I was thinking this was a longer version of Folgers Waking Up to promote the coffee, but it's not. I have no words to describe this song, as it looks like a parade exclusive, I think, since I really have no words, so this is just simply quick. You can't find this song in any of their soundtracks, and if you try to search this song, it's always the Folgers theme, which is why I had to put it in the bottom. And I just can't review this song or the parade performance on its own, because I have no words. Number 20, Ring-a-Ding-Ding by the cast of the new Addams Family. This short-lived Fox Family sitcom featured the cast of the failed revival of the classic show, since it only ran 65 episodes in one season, as they perform a Christmas song, which seems out of place for the family, because they don't sing in the franchise's history unless I'm wrong, or they did in the revival, I don't know. But we do get a catchy Christmas song, especially the main phrase of the song, a ring-a-ding-ding, a ching-a-ling-ling, a ring-a-ding-ding, Addams Family, sing, sing. As the song starts with Gomez and Morticia Addams explaining how they celebrate Christmas, and great choreography on these characters and how would they dance. And like many other parade exclusive songs, this is a very short one at 1 minute and 35 seconds. As a person who had no experience watching the Addams Family, I don't think this rendition of the family would spend their holiday time in the Big Apple, except they would love to be positive on the rain. Number 19, Getting to Know You from The King and I by Christine Noll. Like the new Addams Family, the 1999 animated feature of The King and I that would be released on March 19th was also a failure, but that film would be a box office bomb and it was panned by critics. Before the film would be released, there was a sneak preview performance of the animated musical with the singing voice of Anna Owen, if I'm getting that last name character correct, Christine Noll, in costume to perform the most famous song of the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical that was already performed for the 1996 Broadway revival and would later for the 2015 revival, Getting to Know You. This is not the most memorable rendition of this song, not because of the tone or Christine's voice, it's just that if you have seen the number in the movie, my goodness, it is bad, with all those nonsense cartoony slapstick in the film. However, we're judging on the parade performance on its own, and it's way better than the one of the movie, as Christine joins with 8 real kids, the King of Siam and Tusker the elephant, And the choreography is way better here. Although I'm not familiar with the Anne and the King of Siam story, this number is the only one I know about the musical. Number 18. Willkommen by the cast of Broadway's Cabret. When the 1966 musical got a second revival in 1998, and more based on the 1993 revival in London by Sam Mendes, he, along with Rob Marshall, directed their interpretation of the show. As the opening number, Willkommen performed the Eminence, if I'm correct, which is Master of Ceremonies, played by Alan Cumming for the revival, to welcome you all to this German Kid Clap cabaret show. The original length for the number of the revival was 7 minutes and 31 seconds, while the parade is 3 minutes and 14 seconds. You would think with the long opening, like the launching from Titanic in the previous year, would be on the high list of one of the best openings of Broadway's history. For this revival, I don't think so. For the parade, I can tell the Eminence, I don't know how to pronounce it, was probably one of Alan's replacements after he left the show. Which one? I really don't know. But I think the soundtrack is way better in tone. But in general, another great use of the choreography, which has been somewhat of a theme for these bottom four. It's just the voices of the song alone kind of sound is odd to me. Maybe it could be the length, but I know Lady Gaga uses one of the lines of the number in a lot of her shows. Number 17, Because of You by 98 Degrees. Two boy bands for this year, one that uses pop and the other that uses R&B for their genres, which the latter is the band 98 Degrees, as they perform Because of You from their second album, 98 Degrees and Rising, which seems an appropriate title as we're in the summertime on the date when this episode is released. But that album was released on October of that year, and they would join Mr. Peanut's Circus for the parade. A calm, romantic song that I feel like it might make me fall asleep. I feel like comparing to the other two songs they would perform later for the 99 and 2017 parades, this is kind of a generic romantic song. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy the song, it's just I had to put it low here, not because the other boy band did it better, it's just we have better songs that came out from that year's parade. Number 16, Footloose by the cast of Broadway's Footloose. The first Broadway performance of that year started out like a boom. Based on the 1984 film, what better way to choose the Oscar-nominated song and combine the number from the beginning and the finale with one big performance led by their star, Germany Kushner. For the broadcast, you get to see the cast clothes so bright when it's pouring rain on them. Let me just say, this is not on the top levels of the original version of the song by Kenny Loggins, which, by the way, it plays on the radio too much in my area here. And I've not heard Blake Shelton's cover for the 2011 remake. I feel like, for me, Footloose the song is very overrated for me. A typical 80s classic in a musical, but not for me. Number 15, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer by the Pointer Sisters. Similar to the album 98 Degrees and Rising, Good Times Entertainment released on October 16th in theaters a movie based on the famous reindeer with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the movie. And no, this has no connection to the original 1964 TV special by Rankin Bass. This was a hand-drawn musical starring Kathleen Barr as Rudolph, with original songs made for the movie. One of the songs, Christmas Town, was done by the Pointer Sisters. So when Good Times Entertainment made a float, which included a Rudolph balloon, and our reindeer was named Macy's Holiday Ambassador of 1998, the 4 years that this float would be in the parade, the singer has to perform the ever-famous song. So out of all the artists from the soundtrack, instead of getting Clint Black, who was the one who sang it for the soundtrack for the film, they chose sisters Ruth, Anita, and June to perform it instead. And I gotta say, it was a perfect choice. Too bad it was a parade exclusive instead of being an additional one for the film's soundtrack. When we get to see the next 3 years, the next two I know for a fact can't top the rendition of these three talented sisters, which sadly one of them, Julie Pointer, is no longer with us as she passed away on April 11, 2006 at the age of 52. Number 14, Angel of Mine by Monica. From her second album, The Boy Is Mine, Monica Arnold decided to do a cover of British R&B girl group Eternal's song, Angel of Mine, which were both released on the same year. I haven't listened to the main version by Eternal since I'm judging the American version here, so how can this 17-year-old girl at the time top the trio girl group back then? It's fine. The tone of this romantic song tells you that I have found an angel that you will be loved forever. Too bad I can't, cause I'm single. Which it could be a good reason why I didn't add a personal connection to this song. For the parade performance, the only thing I have to comment is that security guard that's with her. I don't know if it was because she was under 18 was one thing, or she was very big at the time, but I have no answer. I mean, if you have a security guard to protect her on the float at all times, why can't you just do that with everybody on the float? That unfortunately would not be a great parade experience. Thank goodness they don't do that. If I do get a girlfriend, let alone any of them that I know personally, would I call them an angel of mine? Well, the future can't tell me. Number 13, I Got a Crow from Broadway's Peter Pan by Cathy Rigby. Unlike the previous year with Neverland, which was already performed in 1990, we at least got another Peter Pan number for this year, which is I Got a Crow. We know that Peter Pan always does his iconic rooster crow call. Although Cathy Rigby's version is not in the top tier level of the best crow comparing to the other Peter Pans that I know of, but it's fine when it comes to this number, which ironically it's the number before Neverland. However, I do prefer Neverland over I Got a Crow since this feels faster comparing to the calmness of the other. You also got Peter interacting with Wendy and Pirate Kids again on the Ocean Spray pirate ship float, but this time she's wearing a Macy's parade hat, if I can tell based on the quality. The 90s journey of Cathy Rigby as the boy who never growed up comes to an end. Until 2014 with the NBC Live event, we'll find out if the other numbers are better for me. Number 12, Big City Beat by America Sings. Here's our America Sings song for this year, and with their opening number, we got a massive big city beat, and the first song that has lyrics about a big city street party. Like I said in the last episode, I said they sound a lot like choir members at the Disney parks, which is still here, but they sound like adults, especially the men and women sounding so similar. But I will give it does have a great tone like ba ba da ba da ba 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 da ba da ba 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 ba. Is this in the label one of the best openings of the parade? No. Top tier level of America Sings? Not really. It's just the vocals really don't match with the voices of all those young men and women. I feel like they're probably around their mid to late 20s or early. I'm not really sure. Maybe we'll see this get fixed soon. I really don't know. But we'll have to wait and see what the other years tells us. Number 11, Happy Girl by Martina McBride. On her fourth album, Revolution, the song they chose for this country singer is Happy Girl. Coincidentally enough, one of the writers of the song was actually written by Beth Nielsen Chapman, who performed the previous year with Randy Travis. And what a start to kick off the lineup of celebrities in the parade, as she would be with Tom Turkey, which is the typical first float of the parade. The parts of the song that was used for the broadcast was very great. The entire song itself may be a hit or miss, or more of an okay standards, but this is just comparing to the other songs on the list. Even if it can't make it into the top 10, this catchy country song makes it a feel-good song to make all of our female audience a happy girl. Number 10, If All the Raindrops by Barney. Who knew that the previous year I put Imagine as my least favorite of 1997 to this song making it into the top 10. And a perfect match with that year's parade. I wonder if Lyric Studios knew it was going to rain on Thanksgiving Day and chose this song for Barney's performance. What surprised me even more was the audio they chose for the song, and that was the 1994 home video Barney Live in New York City, with some new dialogue for the parade, because you can really tell with the Can I also say the kids that were on that float actually sang with Barney, which is odd that the next 6 years, none of the kid actors from the Christmas videos, the shows, or that musical live performance would not appear to perform with our beloved purple dinosaur. And the float they used, which was the gingerbread house, and the adults in the fruit and the kids in the candy costumes, just fits well with the sweet foods that were used in the lyrics. Number 9, There's No Business Like Show Business by the cast of Broadway's Annie Get Your Gun featuring Tom Wopat. The classic 1946 musical was planning to get its third Broadway revival in 1999, starring Bernadette Peters and Tom Wopat. So a sneak preview performance was put into play, with Wopat performing the ever-famous number, There's No Business Like Show Business. Of course, no one can top the famous version by the original star of the musical, Ethel Merman, which she did not perform the original song of the show back in 1946 or the first revival back in 1958, as is usually the character who plays Frank Butler, which in this case, for the revival, is Tom Wopat. Ironically, the Annie character, which would have been Bernadette Peters, does not appear in this number in general. It's more of a build-up of what you're going to experience for the stage musical. For the broadcast on NBC, Wopat and the cast did not wear any of the costumes. Maybe it could be because they didn't want to get the costumes wet, or they were not made yet as the show had yet to open. Because I thought, based on the performance, it looked like the modernized version of the show when technically the Buffalo Bills' wild story is all true. So I'm guessing it was the first option, with the exception of their cowboy and cowgirl hats. Wopat wore a black suit, and the ensemble wore flannel shirts with brown pants, and you can tell the audio is different comparing to the soundtrack. You would think that this would be in the bottom tier for me. However, there is one reason why I think it's in the top 10. Because the cast of Annie Get Your Gun welcomed the parade to Herald Square. Normally, the Radio City Rockettes are the ones that welcomes the parade until 2008. But for 1998 and 1999, the pre-parade performance of those years were Broadway musicals, as the Rockettes had performed earlier. And that year, Wopat and the cast opened the show with the last lyrics of the number, Let's Go On With the Show, and what a great choice for the musical to welcome the parade that people waited 365 days a year. Number 8, Into the Fire by the cast of Broadway's The Scarlet Pimpernel featuring Douglas Sills, Rex Smith, and Rachel York. If you don't know the history of this musical, The Scarlet Pimpernel premiered on Broadway in November 1997, not counting the October previews. And then all of a sudden, in June 1998, it closed. So the fans got together to bring the show back with new producers to reopen the show, with the star Douglas Sills coming back. Ironically, two of the original stars, Terrence Mann and Christine Andreas, did not come back for the second version, so their replacements were Rex Smith and Rachel York. The song itself, or even the soundtrack, doesn't really change the number when it got its 2.0 because it's the same. The parade does something different. You still get the number with Sills, but you get the additional lyrics of Smith and York's numbers, Madame Guillotin and Storybook, along with the reprise of Into the Fire at the end. Even though it can't reach the performance of Titanic, The Scarlet Pimpernel holds my title of the best Broadway performance of 1998. Number 7, Sing by the cast of Sesame Street. Joe Raposo was one of the OG songwriters of Sesame Street, and he wrote some of the most famous songs, from Being Green, C is for Cookie, the ever-famous theme, Can You Tell Me How to Get to Sesame Street, and this one, Sing. As Sesame Street was getting ready to celebrate the 30th anniversary the following year, Children's Television Workshop made a brand new float, and what better song to choose than the ever-famous Sing. And this is not the first time this was used for the parade, as the Human cast performed it back 10 years prior in 1988. Only downgrade is that it's only a minute and 30 seconds. Not to mention, I can hear Big Bird's voice in the audio, when he's not there, of course, because of the rain. Actually, our feather friend would not be in person for that year in '99, but they would find a way in 2006. I also feel like this song performance was incomplete. If you would ask me what's my favorite rendition of Sing, it was the show's 20th anniversary special, when each of the casting characters had their own solo part of the song before they joined together for one big finale. And the special was also dedicated to Raposo, who passed away that year in 1989. I will say this is one of my favorite Sesame Street performances. If it was complete, it would have been a top 5. Number 6. The Fallow by Judy Collins. This would be Judy Collins' third parade of this decade, and she performed back in 1991 and 1994. For this year, she performed a song from her 2-disc CD, Forever, an Anthology, which I decided not to show the cover of the compilation album. It's not that appropriate, but I don't think YouTube would not like it. Kids, just don't look it up. Anyways, the album also included 3 new songs, one of them being The Fallow that she would perform, and as an iconic legend, her songs she chooses are very calm, as this song is basically describing how beautiful the season of winter is, with the crystal times, the colors fade to white, and the glistening snow. My only drawback to this is that I don't know if she wanted this to be a Christmas song or not, or just a normal one. Yes, the song's setting's supposed to be winter, but it really doesn't have a holiday theming to it. I will give credit for the float choice for putting her in, which is the Soaring Spirit Canoe. Yes, her nationality is not native, but the tone of the song itself fits well with the setting of the float. As I said, this song doesn't feel like a Christmas song, but more of her calm love letter to the season of winter. Unless I totally got this wrong of what she meant when she wrote this song. Number 5, I'm Alright by Jo Dee Messina. After her debut album in 1996, Jo Dee Messina returned in '98 with her second album released on March 17th. The title album is the title of the first song of the album she would perform, I'm Alright. Like many other songs, this one got its own single release, and being one of her 3 songs from that album to be number 1 on the Billboard Hot Country Songs. And this is such a catchy song about her life doing fine, even the tough times of her missing her best friends and the lack of money. And a great connection to put her in the Westward Ho float, because Tim McGraw, who was the one on the float the previous year, was a producer on both her album and the song. Speaking of the float, like McGraw and even the Tucson, Arizona Boys Choir, the float kept moving instead of stopping at Herald Square, probably to save time, which I think is a bit disrespect for the artist. Well, at least she would get another float to stop for 2000. It looks like I have a thing for country music, and another one in the top 5, so I guess I'm doing alright for my fans. Number 4, Tearin' Up My Heart by NSYNC. Wait, why is this not number 1? You didn't do this for the Backstreet Boys. You didn't do this for 98 Degrees. Now not NSYNC either. Unsubscribe. Yes, NSYNC did not make it at number 1 here either. As you will see why. But we had to talk about the Backstreet Boys' number 1 rival at the time, and the group that became Justin Timberlake, an A-list celebrity outside of the Mickey Mouse Club, NSYNC. On their debut album, which was released on May 26, 1997, their first song from the album and their second single that was originally pitched for the Backstreet Boys ended up being Tearin' Up My Heart. Do I need any explanation of this song other than it's not the prototype to Bye Bye Bye? Not really. For the parade, you would think Justin Timberlake would be in the spotlight, because he is the most famous member of the band. No! He is not the lead vocal of the song. That was member J.C. Chase, and Timberlake was just a backup vocal. And if they would have done this now, Timberlake would have been in the center of it. So not JT, but JC got the star spot in Herald Square back in 1998. So in terms of the three boy bands, the romantic love songs, bronze goes to 98 Degrees, silver goes to the Backstreet Boys, and the gold medal goes to NSYNC. Number 3, Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow by Chicago. Yep, the top 3 are Christmas songs. The Christmas section of the 98 parade begins with Oshkosh B'gosh's Santaland Express, and who better way to start than the legendary rock band Chicago with their rendition of Let It Snow on their 25th and first Christmas album. Now, in this series, as of now, there are 4 renditions of Let It Snow that you'll be singing in this series. Not only this is the first one, but also my favorite out of the 4, as trumpetist Lee Loughlin takes the lead of this rendition that's basically like an opening to a Christmas party, which they do for the parade. For my view of this rendition, this would usually be at the beginning of a playlist if I would host a Christmas party. An outside note, in fact, back in the spring of 2020 during our state lockdowns, there was one April night, a day or so after Easter, it snowed a bit in our area, and so what I did was play the rendition of the song through an Instagram story post, only the beginning of the lyrics. As much of a great rendition it is, it couldn't beat my top 2. But this upbeat rock and roll rendition is something you guys need to listen to. Number 2, If You Believe from Annabelle's Wish by Kevin Sharp. In the last episode, we looked at one of the songs from the direct-to-video Christmas special called Annabelle's Wish, with the song Friends Like Us by Rady Travis and Beth Nielsen Chapman, and it ended up being my number 2 of that year. A year later, the float would appear again, and this time it features country singer Kevin Sharp as the last singing performance before Santa's arrival, and the song he performed from the soundtrack, If You Believe. In the movie, Santa, voiced by K.E. Cutter, would sing it somewhat, which is the last set of lyrics. Sharp's version was in the credits, but only had the last part of the main version. The entire song is only in the soundtrack. Same thing with Friends Like Us. This is also one of the most emotional songs in the parade's history, but this and my number 1 of this year from tops it over. Now, when listening to the song, you get 2 scenarios. When you hear it in the movie from Santa, it's more about believing in the holiday season, especially your big Christmas wish. When you add in the plot aspect of Annabelle's wish on giving her voice to Billy on Christmas Day so it can be a miracle for Billy, it feels like more like a donor to give somebody a part of their life to save another. Like how many people would donate their own organs to those who need a transplant while battling cancer or any other deadly viruses that are anything attacking their main organs. Which is why the revenue of this movie were donated to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, as I've mentioned in the last episode. And having Kevin Sharp doing the song was very well done, as Sharp was a cancer survivor, as he had a rare form of bone cancer right around before reaching the age of 20. He managed to win his battle and became actively involved with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Sadly, on April 19, 2014, Sharp died at the young age of 43 following complications from stomach surgeries in the past. Listening into it after his passing, you cannot deny that this is a powerful song. Not just for those who are currently or survived from battling cancer, this is a song for everybody, that they know one day they will believe in the song inside you. So much so that I want to do a cover of this song. In fact, the top 3 on the list, but I can't. Not because of copyright, except for my number 3 and my number 1, but with these dang microphones never matching my voice. I mean, seriously, they make me sound a little high-pitched in these videos, because if you meet me in real life, my voice does not match the voice that you are hearing through my videos. Like Friends Like Us, The main reason why it can't be number one is because you cannot get the Annabelle's Wish soundtrack either on Spotify or Apple/iTunes, as it is one of the rules for this series. But remember, if you can open your heart, then you can start to be completely free. Because if you believe in yourself, it's easy to believe in me. And my number one song from the 1998 Macy's Parade is Heroes by Kenny Rogers. After appearing in the 1996 parade, performing Till the Season Comes Around Again from his Christmas album The Gift, it wouldn't be long for him to return to Macy's Parade to perform another song from his new Christmas album, Christmas from the Heart. And the 10th song from the album would be Use. Doesn't feel like a Christmas song, but since it came from a holiday album, it counts. This song really fits well in our time today, especially the difficult times we're dealing with. The ongoing pandemic, the Russian-Ukrainian war, the tragic mass shootings, and the supposed battle with Democrats and Republicans that I'm worried what might happen with these midterms and our PA state governor elections, and maybe the 2024 presidential election. And Kenny's song is telling us that we need heroes, real, legit heroes, to try to make the world a better place, especially during the spirit of whatever holiday you celebrate. And putting Rogers on the Statue of Liberty float was another great connection, like Winona the previous year. However, Kenny was not alone, as this float also had the Little League World Series champions of Toms Rivers, New Jersey, that won the World Series title here in Williamsport. In fact, one player of the team that would end up becoming an MLB All-Star and actually retired this past April that you may have heard of named Todd Frazier. And of course, like If You Believe, Heroes is another song that I remember the lyrics easily. But the real reason why it's number one, other than the things that I have mentioned, and this is a rarity, it's because the entire song was performed. Since the song's length is only 2 minutes and 13 seconds, I was surprised that the whole song was used. This could be because they didn't have time since Spider-Man was deflated, or this was rehearsed. Although Rogers died on March 20th, 2020 at the age of 81, he told us with the song, if you can't smile, laugh, cry, happy, trust, broken, forgive, or care, a light will light your way. For those people will be your heroes. And that's why Heroes by Kenny Rogers is the best song of 1998. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked this episode, you can hit that subscribe button and comment down below your personal ranking on these 21 songs. Next time, Macy's is getting ready for the new millennium, but they have to celebrate one more parade before heading into the 21st century as we go into 1999.